Twomey. We leave Twomey now and we come to what has made Silver Oak, and why we are so fortunate to have so many fans around the world, and particularly in Japan. So in my glass, cheers again, Richard.
Cheers again. Thank you.
As we've been going through this, is the 2014 vintage, which I happen to have in my cellar. This wine is the wine that is available currently in Japan. Now, Alexander Valley 2014 is predominantly Cabernet. Alexander Valley tends to be predominantly Cabernet. This vintage is about 98% Cabernet. And then there is a soupçon of Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and 0.2% Cabernet Franc. The wines are grown, or the grapes rather, are grown all the way up here in Alexander Valley. All these little dots are our partners, because we have multiple grower partners that we have worked with for years and continue to be very much part of the program. And then the letters are our own vineyards. And about 65% now of Silver Oak Alexander Valley is from all of our own vineyards. We own about 500 acres total of vineyards. And we like to have this assortment, if you like, of different growers, because it all adds to the essence of the wine itself. The wine is aged for 2 years in, as we said before, American oak barrels. With the Alexander Valley, the oak barrels every year, it's half new and half 1 year old, meaning it's half new barrels and 2-year-old once used barrels. It stays for about 24 months in the oak. And one of the things that many people don't recognize or realize about Silver Oak is that we actually do our final blend from all of these vineyards before it goes into the oak. Most wineries do it after the oak aging. Mm-hmm. We do it before, so that the wine has a chance to really harmoniously integrate and knit with the oak itself. Then after 2 years in oak, or approximately that, it comes out and it goes into bottle for 2 years. So the other thing about Silver Oak too is we do an extended aging in the bottle. So we're usually about 1, if not 2 vintages behind our colleagues in the wine industry. So much of our wine is sold to be drunk upon release, mm-hmm. But Silver Oak ages incredibly well. The American oak really allows these wines to age for years. And if you could ever get your hands on some of the older vintages, which is not easy, buy them, because they will taste yummy. And the wines are made to be drunk upon release, because so many of our wines, up until recently, have been sold in restaurants. Obviously, with the shift right now going on, most of our wines are being sold in retail, but there's hardly a steakhouse in the world that doesn't have a Silver Oak Cabernet on it. Absolutely. And I look forward to coming back to Wolfgang's, to Morton's, to our friends in Japan, to have a glass of Silver Oak with a good, juicy Wagyu steak.
For the folks who are watching this video right now, who are at home and want to age that wine, how long could you let that wine sit?
Well, it depends on your patience. 20 years is what we say.
Yeah, so you could buy that wine and pour it. If you have a baby now, you could pour that wine for that child's 21st birthday.
Yes, I like to suggest to people, our consumers, that they buy a case. Then they put 6 bottles aside, not to be touched. And then they drink the other 6 bottles at various times over the, if they can last a couple of years, and then maybe go into those that are not being touched and drink a couple and then leave 3 for 20 years, if you have the patience. And we're going to end, of course, with the flagship, if you like, the wine that is really quite sought after, which is Silver Oak Napa Valley Cabernet. This is the 2000 vintage that is available in Japan currently. And I'll put that back there. And people often ask me, what's the difference between Silver Oak Alexander Valley and Silver Oak Napa Valley? Well, it's an extremely good question. Part of that is, of course, Napa itself. There's Napa Valley here is about 30 miles, which is what, about 50 kilometers long and about 8 kilometers wide. Alexander Valley further north is a little warmer. It's warm up here in the Calistoga area, but as I said earlier, where most of our main vineyards are down here, it's slightly cooler. So the growing region is different. We have vineyards, our Soda Canyon vineyard here. We have vineyards up above Silver Oak, and then another vineyard up in this area. The one above Silver Oak also is at an elevation, and that's known as Jump Rock. And it has really tiny, tiny berries that really have to stress up here on Atlas Peak. And it gives us a real intensity to the Napa Valley wine. The Napa wine also is more of a Bordeaux blend. I mentioned that Alexander Valley was typically closer to 100% Cabernet. Mm-hmm. California, in order to call a wine by its varietal name, it has to have 75% of that varietal in the bottle. So with our Napa wine, this particular vintage is 79% Cabernet. Then it has 15% Merlot, 3% Cabernet Franc, and then a little, the balance, 3% I think it is, of Petit Verdot. So a very classic Bordeaux style of Cabernet. Now the other difference is of the oak. Yes, it's American oak again. But with Napa Valley, every vintage is new American oak barrels. So every single vintage, new American oak, and that new American oak is kept in Napa and then sold off. It doesn't go to Alexander Valley. So we keep our oak regimes quite separate. So 2 years in American oak, brand new oak barrels every vintage. And then we age it a further 2.5 years in the bottle. So it has a longer aging in the bottle before we release it. And the Napa Valley is released every year, the first weekend of February. So you here are tasting the 2013. We are actually a little ahead in California, and we'll be releasing the 2016 in February 2021.
That will be very exciting, especially considering the times we're in right now. It gives us all something to look forward to.
Yes, indeed. And I do want to issue an invitation when the times are easier for travel and people feel comfortable coming to our release days. I think, Richard, you've been to one or two?
Oh, they're fantastic. I think I've been to more than one. And it's speaking as a wine lover, it's a wonderful opportunity for people who love wine and want to try wonderful wine, but it's also, it can be a family event because it's just, the scenery is beautiful. The area is a beautiful place to visit. So when you're done, you know, when you're at the winery, spend the time, learn about the wine, taste the wine, meet the people who make the wine, but then explore the region as well.
Thank you. It's a fun event, and it's wonderful to welcome 2,000 of our closest friends to our winery every year.
And there is something big that's coming up from Silver Oak for the Japanese market. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. Well, for all of us, it's really big, and it's big for Japan. Raymond Duncan, the founder of Toomey, died several years ago, and the winery has been run before his death by his two sons, David Duncan and Tim Duncan. Both of the sons are into music. And we decided a few years back, with the 2017 vintage, to create a wine that was reflective of Ray Duncan. And we're releasing it at the end of this year, in the fall. It's really a tribute to the founder, or to the co-founder, Raymond Duncan. And the name Timeless comes from a song that his son David, who is a musician as well as being a winery owner, wrote about his father. His father is timeless. And it is a single vineyard wine from a vineyard in Soda Canyon. And it's being crafted by our winemakers, Nate Wise and Jean-Claude Barraway. And we are looking forward to releasing it and letting you know more about it in the fall. And you can go online, and if you look up www.timeless.napa, you will find the wine. And you can sign up on the website for alerts as to when it's going to be released.
So this is another great reason for everybody to stay safe, stay socially distant, so that in the fall you can try some wonderful wine.
Exactly, Richard. Very well said. And I hope that I'll be traveling again soon to Japan. I miss you all very much. Japan is probably my most favorite destination to go to in the world. So cheers, everybody. And thank you, Richard, for leading us through this hour of wine.